Colette, how are you doing?
Hi, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
So the reason for asking Colette to come here is because she's somebody that I'm working with on the subject of trauma, and we are working on child abuse and trauma. And certainly, for some time, she had this interest that how a person or a child or an adult who is not able to speak for themselves, how they're facing that trauma. So I'm glad that we always having discussion and we always talk about neurodivergent community, like autistic or ADHD kids, and for those kids who are not able to uh, something about themselves, and Fuzzy is also here, and advocate for themselves. So I think we need to see the perspective of somebody who have like experience in their life and have issue when they are working for the community or when we are dealing with the community. I think the beauty of this social media is because we are talking on social media with each other, and to understand that what are the problems and how we can collaborate with each other. And let me tell you something which was very interesting for both me and Colette, that no matter wherever you are living, you can have issues. It's not about first world country, it's not about third world country. It's about when you're having issues, you're going to have issues. Yeah,
Have
that was
like
interesting
experience
for
in
us.
their life and have issue when they are working for the community or when we are
Sorry,
dealing
I
with
think
the
you are listening.
community.
My Faisal, can you start, because I just need to go to YouTube and check that.
Okay. All right. So we got our other fellow Fazli here with us. Hello, Fazli. How are you?
I'm fine,
Um,
thank you.
we are having two other guests with us, Colette and Diana.
Mhm.
So if you guys can introduce each other, a bit a bit of your intro.
Are you referring to Colette and Dinah or to me?
I'm asking you to give your intro.
Okay,
Mm,
right. So I've been a self-advocate, I guess, for 18 years now, and I guess higher functioning hyperlexia. My area is primarily art design. I'm an assistant professor, and I teach design and media. And I guess growing up. It was difficult because awareness back then wasn't much, and I guess after I found out back in 2006, I was 25. I think my life obviously changed for the better because I now had words for uh, what I sort of words that I couldn't express by reading other self advocates in their interviews, and then reading their stories. It allowed me to have a construct, sort of a template that I could perhaps look at using to sort of make structure of my life. And I think I became an academic as a consequence of that. The structure that educational systems provide for some people, of course, not for everyone, but higher education for those who are academically inclined for a systematic process, it gave me that structure that I needed so that I could work on my skills. I could work on communication. I could then, of course, be useful, I guess, to other people as a consequence of my skills, self mastery, and helping other self advocates find their way, just like I found mine. So I've been doing advocacy, self advocacy for I guess quite a long time now. I spoke at the UN at Autism Awareness Day in 2013. So that was about what 11 years ago, and I guess I've co-authored a few books with Temple Grandin and a few others. I think the real reason that I continue to do this, I mean, I don't get paid to do it. It's simply because there were so many challenges that if I had found somebody perhaps when I was younger who could have guided me, and there was nobody there really. I had to be that person. I had to be the one to, make a path for myself. And now I guess making that path easier for others, I think that's something that's required because in our part of the world, there's just so many people. South Asia, 25% of world's population lives here. But as a consequence of societal issues, people don't talk about neurodiversity. They don't discuss it. They're afraid sometimes of telling people or even accepting, in the sense that they don't even tell their parents or others about their sort of they mask, right? Masking to an extent, I guess it depends on a lot of circumstances. It gets you where you want to be, but then you're essentially lying to yourself. You're not being who you are. You're lying to society. And sometimes, the only way forward is to actually show the world who you really are. I think that's the only way. And neurodiversity is just something that's been going on for a very long time, thousands of years. We just define it and describe it now in words that we can quantify, but I believe this is the truest form of inclusion by learning from each other, by supporting each other, regardless of where we are, which country we're from, what our background is. We're pretty much on the same boat. Yeah, that's my message to everyone. Come forward
So,
and make a difference. Yeah.
so what's your experience with the workplace, being a neurodivergent, and does it affect your mental health sometimes, or have you faced any kind of discrimination?
Well, that is a good question because you see, for a very long time, I was primarily a freelancer. So I only interact with people on context of what I can do for them. And, they're not concerned with who I am, right? They just want something done. They pay me for it and then I move on to the next job, right? I was doing that for quite a long time. But then when you go to a job and you have coworkers, you have that entire boss structure, etc. I think a lot of it has to do with who's around you. So in that context, there are very few people who actually knew about, my, obviously they searched my name on Google and, they see my interviews. But beyond that, I guess, there's no gray. There's an extreme left and extreme right. So I've had people who were, in a way, they use autism as an excuse because they were actually afraid of my abilities, in the sense that I kind of was far more qualified than them in every sense of the word. And they kind of use ASD to kind of, sort of deny me, let's say, what I deserve, promotions and things like that. This really happened. It's one of the reasons I resigned last year. And but the point is that these are small petty things, because over time then people found out, and as a consequence, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 people resigned. The entire department left because of that. So I'm just saying that be true to yourself. And I never asked anyone for support, like in that context. I just did the right thing. Why did I become an educator? To help students. Obviously to earn a living, yes, but primarily to help students, and perhaps students who are on the spectrum or neurodiverse like me. I mean, that was my actual goal, and I did. I've changed lives, in these last few decades, and I think that has really been the important thing, the sort of the thing that keeps pushing me forward, because it doesn't make a difference if eventually you run into somebody who doesn't understand neurodiversity, but that person is insignificant, because over time people find out, you know word gets around, the world is not that big. Pretty much people, like, you're just one person away from the next person in the world. You look at LinkedIn, right? Everyone connected to each other. So I think from my perspective, doing the right thing, being honest, being truthful, not kind of thinking of people in a bad way, even though sometimes, somebody would kind of be afraid of my abilities and think of me in a bad way. But I didn't hold it up against them. And as a consequence, I've technically never suffered, as in, it doesn't make a difference to me if, one place kind of created some problems, because this is very rare that something like that happens. But as a consequence, something better comes along, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that you cannot make everyone happy, and that's something I learned very early on in my career. So there's no point of even trying, right? I mean, 99% people out there, they like you, but 1% people maybe they just won't, and it's just a natural thing. You can't force anyone to like you, right? And it's you shouldn't even try to do that. Just be honest to yourself. Be do what you can, and just keep moving ahead. And that has helped me. It's helped me now. It's helped me in the past. And I think this is the way my life has sort of, because the benefit you provide people, that is the goal. It's not that one person out of 1,000 that negative experience. You can never get positive 100% experiences. It's just not possible. You will find people who don't understand you. You will find people who are afraid of you. But that's normal. Humans are like that. Neurotypicals are pretty much, I mean, that's the definition of neurotypical, right? They're just afraid. They're afraid because they don't understand, right? So our job really as self advocates is to make them understand. Now, whether they listen or they don't listen, that's their call, but it is our responsibility to educate them.
So,
Yes.
is it making any difference, like as you are self-employed and you're not working with any particular domain, so you are the boss by yourself. So, how are you finding it? Is it like more convenient and easy with your mental health and with your coping strategies? How are you finding it?
Well, yeah. So freelance work is pretty much a lot of it depends on supply and demand, right? So it's really about everything is connected to quality, because we're not as young as we were maybe a decade ago. So I can't obviously continuously work like 12 to 14 hours a day, right? That's just not possible. So I guess you have to pick and choose your customers more than customers picking and choosing you. So sometimes I have to turn work down simply because I had a bad experience with a customer, and I kind of get a sense of what they're asking me to do is just not worth my time. So that has actually helped my mental health and my career far more, is actually saying no, not saying yes all the time. And it's really helped me. It's helped my life grow completely much faster. And because when you're young, when you have a lot to do, you kind of say yes to so much. You take on projects that don't pay much, and you're working nonstop just to please somebody who doesn't even have a budget worth spending on. I mean, that's why they contacted a freelancer, right? Because they don't have a good budget, or they just want something impossible that other people them turn them down. So that's something that you kind of learn with experience. This is something that cannot be taught. This is something where you literally have to learn over time how to how to deal with clients, and how to literally say no sometimes. I think that has been had a bigger and more positive impact on me than saying yes all the time.
Okay. So, Colette, may I know what's your workplace journey in your career wise? How you getting along with your mental health, and how you coping up with your neurodivergent traits?
Yeah. So
Well,
after COVID, I guess. Are you asking Colette?
Yes, I'm asking Colette.
Okay, go ahead, Colette.
thank you. Hi everybody. Um, I'm not I'm not a professional in any of these fields whatsoever. I am literally a survivor of abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional neglect, in and out of the care system. Um, Mother that was a prostitute, don't know who my dad is, just one of those upbringings. I am a top 10 selling author. My book, Unforgivable, was in the Times top 10. So that's my achievement, but my biggest achievement is my children. So I don't know really what else to say. But yeah, I do suffer with my mental health, obviously, with the upbringing that I had. I've been diagnosed with bipolar disorder as well as the depression, anxiety, PTSD. Um, so yeah, I don't really bring much to the table apart from my own experience. So yeah, that's me really in a nutshell. Sorry.
But as you are supporting people, no, it's all right. But as you are supporting people, being an advocate, so how are you finding it? Is it uh, a healing journey for you, or does it make
Yeah,
you more empowered?
yeah. I've spoken at a few safeguarding conferences. I've spoken to frontline police officers regarding the abuse and things that go on in the home, and to always make sure that the children in these places are looked at first, whether doesn't matter why they're there, they need to always make sure that the child is okay first. So I travelled around, and obviously I'm from the UK, so yeah, I travelled around the UK giving a few talks. When I first started doing it, I was absolutely terrified because who'd want to listen to me? Who wanted to listen to my story? And I found as I went on, it was helping me mentally to be able to talk about it, which was something that I'd never been able to do before. It just built me mentally, physically. You know, I got stronger. I was stronger for my children. I was stronger for my family. Um, so yeah, I do go around doing that. I also have my own Unforgivable page. Unforgivable is the name of my book, and I have people from around the world contacting me on there at least 3-4 times a week now. It's slowed down a bit, but I do still get those messages. You know, they've read my book and asking if I can help them, and I do try and help them, put them on the right path, so to speak, to get some sort of justice for themselves. Because sometimes, you know, it's not easy to get evidence against somebody that sexually abused you over 30 years ago, you know. So it's about finding justice for these victims and becoming survivors, and that's my main goal.
Okay. So good to hear. We have another guest here, Diana. Diana, would you like to share your workplace journey when you started your career and with your...
Faiza, sorry, I'm just cutting you. Okay, Faiza, can
I can't hear you, Anila.
that time I just opened my mic and I was just adding a few things which Colette has mentioned, and she did not mention that she is a lady who is, we just 1 year back we started to, we just wanted to, you know, raise awareness. So we just came up with different ideas, you know, but how we can do that. And remember that because our uh, uh, whatever you can say, that the project that we just started with, we have page for a link page for the and so about, and whenever we are having discussion, I think credit goes to her too. She has very bad health, actually serious bad health, and every time, if it's 3 times,
Yeah. Is anybody else having problems hearing Neela?
Yeah, I think there is some issue with Anila's internet at the moment.
Oh, right, okay. I think what Neela was
I'm
telling
back.
you.
Okay,
There's actually some issue in her city.
Yes.
There, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
I think
Neela, you keep breaking up. We can't hear you. You keep freezing. Obviously, there's something going on with your internet.
turn on your
I think what Anila was talking about was that we.
what do you call it?
Are you back? There she is.
Yes, I'm back actually. So we are doing that social campaign. Yeah, we are doing that social campaign on social media, and we will do on YouTube, Instagram lives, and before that we were doing Twitter also. And that is about recovering from childhood abuse and trauma. And we get to know that there are so many different forms, and no matter wherever you are living, first world country, third world country, at every place people will have issues. So credit goes to her because she has bad health and still she is coming even if it's 3 times, even if 2 times, even if maybe it's answering to my difficult question. I get very tricky with my question, but even then she responds to that question. So credit goes to her because she is working, and she's not just looking for the time. And we talk about neurodivergent community in our discussions too, that how they are facing the abuse. So this is important, and that credit goes to her, that she is there and she's telling us that how important that is for you, even if you are having your own mental health issues. She have mental health problems, and she's very spoken, she's very, she speak about that all the time. But she tell us that even if you are abused, if you were into abuse, either it's home setting, either it's school setting, either even if it's workplace, so you can be a better person, and you can go for redemption also. You can say yourself and around you. So I would like to give her that credit.
Well, that's great.
Thank you so
I
much
mean,
for that. Now you
workplace
can continue, Faiza.
harassment.
Thank you, Anila. That really means a lot. Thank you.
Workplace harassment is another big thing people are facing, especially women. And I think that needs to address because being neurodivergent, it's difficult to get social cues. And I think when we realize what's happening around us, it becomes late plenty of times. So Diana, coming back to you, I would like to know your experience with your workplace. When you started your career, were you diagnosed before your work, before your employment? How you get your diagnosis done?
Okay, I'm happy to share that story. I got my diagnosis during Corona. Sorry for being not so fluent, because I have to translate my own idea in my head, so it takes a long some time. I was employed 25 years ago at Allianz. I had to face many problems regarding bosses, hierarchies, getting the job done, understanding what they wanted as a result. And I had a lot of troubles at work. And the question for myself was why I didn't get it, because I always gave my best and were very, very close to my work. I loved being at the event management for executives. But it was really, really stressful for me because of traveling and all these social connections you have to face with the management, with the customer, with your colleagues, with the time, the budgets, and so on. And it got to a peak because somebody decided that I have to leave the company regarding that trouble. And then Corona came, and I was sitting at home with my family, and everything crashed. My marriage crashed, my friendships crashed, everything. And everybody was telling his story and said, "Oh, I miss my family and my friends so much." And I didn't have this feeling. And this was really crazy because I didn't miss anybody and I didn't miss my work. I was happy being at home. First, it was very confusing losing my structure. Yeah, and then I met somebody who got she got her diagnosis about the HD, how do you call it? ADHS, HDHS, this
Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, ADHD?
Yeah. Thanks for helping me with that. And she told me about her feelings and her impression about the world. And I thought, wow, this is crazy. I'm really with her. And then she told me she got her autism diagnosis really freshly. And that was really shocking because I thought, okay, we are twins in mind. And that was the first time I had this feeling somebody understands what I'm thinking and also back. Yeah, and then I called a hotline in Germany. You can call a hotline if you have a crisis.
In Deutschland?
In Germany, yeah.
Ah, yeah. Wunderbar.
Sozialpsychiatrischer Dienst, it's called. And every city has the service, and I called this telephone hotline, and I was really lucky because there was someone who really helped me. I told him that I'm thinking that I have autism, and he was searching for a telephone number of a doctor and helped me further with a conversation about autism and what should I do with this idea. And then I went to the doctor and he said, no, you have not autism because you have been in the event management for years. And I said, okay, this is a really stupid idea. Let's get forward, please. And then he made the tests and so on. And yeah, doesn't need a lot of time to reflect that I'm autistic. And at work, it was my last chance to say, hey, I'm autistic. This is really a big misunderstanding of everything. Please, let's talk again. And then my journey changed into a successful one because I was hurt at work and I'm far away from losing my job. I'm really thankful for that because it's my biggest and greatest achievement in my life, being employed for 25 years at the same company. This is really a big achievement for myself. And today I'm lucky because I work for People and Culture for the HR department and tell people about autism and what is autism really, beside from the Wikipedia thing. This is really cool and they listen and we are in a great exchange. And I'm really happy being at such a huge, large company with so many interesting people. Yeah. I hope this was
Okay.
fine for you, my Dinglish.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. You're right, Anna. So, I mean, as you got your diagnosis done and you are happy to have it and to know yourself. So, I mean, with your workplace, when you describe all these things to the people, how much they are acceptable and how much they are open about it?
And so. I posted many stories about my impressions on LinkedIn. And sadly, some people took these insights in order to get forward with mobbing and such a shit. Sorry for using that word. This was really uncool, and it was shocking for me because I was so happy to get my own insights and tell the world, hey, now I understand about my conflicts and I understand that I have difficulties in social behavior and so on, and I can have eye contact for a long time, and I seem to be another woman that I'm really be. The guy before
Right.
me, he was talking about masking, and I say, okay, masking is a survival strategy. It's not about I would lie to people or I'm not myself. No, I didn't get what is masking about. And even today, I'm trying to understand myself every day, every hour.
Yeah,
you
there's
cannot.
a lot of research.
And
There's a lot of
I
research
lost my
studies that
friends. I lost my friends about telling them that I'm autistic because they didn't get this scissor together. Many of them are gone from one day to the other after 20 years friendship, and this was really, really hard. So even men are really sensitive about. No idea why a man, but the most lost friends are even men and me. Yeah. But somebody wanted to ask me something. Sorry for interrupting.
no, just pointing out that there's actually a lot of studies that with women compared to men, there is actually much more detailed masking because
Yeah.
because of societal constructs, you are constantly pressured to behave in a certain way, to look a certain way, to talk a certain way, and as
Yeah,
a
that's true.
consequence, your the real you gets hidden, and only your relatives, maybe your people who are extremely close, only they are the ones real you. So my general question to you is, do you have a pet?
Do I have what?
Like a pet, like animal, dog, cat?
No, I'm allergic to, sorry. No
Ah,
pets.
okay, okay, okay,
Aunts, I have aunts, but
okay,
as pets.
okay, okay.
But nothing to touch, if this was the
Hmm.
question. No.
Yes.
Yeah, pets
Can I
are really
just say,
helpful.
sorry, can I just say, Diane,
Yeah.
amazing story. And those people that left you, your friends, they wasn't friends. And they've
Yeah,
shown that they've shown that you don't need people like that around you. You don't need to have to explain yourself to people that are supposed to be your friends. So I hope that moving forward, you'll make the right friends, the friends that will be there for you and listen to you. And I'm just so sorry you had to go through all of that. I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
thank you. That's really true, but it hurts so. Um, and I didn't understand why they are behaving like this, because it's no reason. The person is the same, but even maybe not. Regarding the masking, my mask was being funny and being entertaining, and yeah, this was really a good mask because you have less conflicts when you're funny. So, and they
Yeah,
didn't
you
get
cannot
the
unmask in
change.
front of it.
They didn't get the change
Sorry.
from masking being funny into being autistic. I think that's a really, really huge gap.
Yeah. So we have another guest here, Jax. If you'd like to share something about you.
Hi, I'm obviously very chatty in chat. I'm in the USA in the Pacific Northwest, located in Bellingham, Washington State. I'm a openly autistic, non-binary Latina lived experience educator who has founded my own business to be a neurodivergent peer support specialist since I found a gap in the social systems here where I'm living in the USA. So as I started to get Well, I've been in behavioral health and crisis services since I was a child, and no one identified that I was autistic until I was 22 in 2012. And then it took me 6 years to be formally diagnosed because of high masking, hyperlexic, just lots of reasons, being AFAB, socialized, not just as a girl, but also multiculturally, because I lived in Spain when I was little and have like influences from many cultures and stuff. So I just like was forced to do perspective taking at a very young age. I was forced to code switch. I was forced to learn how to behave at home versus in public versus in this group versus there. So for me, I didn't really have the privilege of the same kind of experience of a lot of other so I'm white pathing autistics who have a certain type of education and background. For me, I just always fell out of touch and didn't understand why everybody was, I don't know, to me, it kind of felt like playing some sort of game in like participating in the fiction of Plato's cave, like the spectacle. There's just this kind of farcical performance that neurotypical culture seems to be based around. And I was pointing this out and poking holes in the curriculum when I was a child, and I kept getting in trouble and sent to the principals for being insubordinate and defiant and things like this. And I was like, well, I thought I was here to learn and I'm trying to learn. But the thing is that what we're, end quote, learning, or rather studying, is, yeah, exactly what you're just saying here, performative. I'm like, here's the thing. We're studying ancient history and world history. You only need to study a few civilizations rising and falling to see the pattern of greed, egocentrism, hyper-individualism, and codependency ruining everything. So I really don't get why, like, so even as a child in grade school in the USA back east in New Jersey, because I moved a lot, I was just like constantly asking, why are we wasting time studying the same thing again and again and again when like we could be instead learning what to do instead. We could, be taking our classroom of children out into the streets and learning how to build shelters or learning how to like volunteer in the community, which I think would have been so much more helpful in real life skill building than most of what I was forced to, end quote, learn. So I'm here because I to realize that I couldn't really work for other people. Hierarchies and authority and things like that just don't work for me, especially when it's arbitrary and it doesn't make sense. And I just have to fall in line because of rank and stuff like that. So even though I'm not really a fan of money or capitalism or business or, a lot of that kind of stuff, I have grudgingly taken the role of, a neurodivergent business owner, a self-employed budding entrepreneur, you could say. And it's really just because I want to network with other neurodivergent individuals who are interested in kind of bucking social norms and pushing back against the status quo of what the neuronormative dominant cultures are saying, because I think it's kind of obvious. We all know they're toxic, they're exclusionary, they're riddled with isms. We are a neuro minority, but if you're an intersectional minority, if you're a minority in any way and exist with, multiple intersecting marginalized identities, it's like so painful just to be alive, what to speak of try to do anything, on a professional sphere. So I'm here trying to just like address the basic needs first. And then once people can get a sense of self-worth, of wanting to live, of feeling like there is hope in being here, then we can talk about like, all right, now what's your goal? Now what do you want to do? Like now where do you want to live? That kind of stuff. So I'm trying to build my own little systems of, how to funnel and filter people to connecting exactly where they want to go. Because I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. Everybody's already doing something amazing, like all of you here, which is why I stopped by to check out what you're doing. I'm so excited to see neurodiversity initiatives around the world. That's so cool. So when I saw neurodiversity in Pakistan, I was like, heck yeah, I'm here to support. So hello from USA. And if there's anything I can do, to support you all and what you're doing, please let me know. Much love.
Yes, Jack's a great energy. And
I hope that.
so
By the way,
yeah,
also have
sorry.
here too. I hope he find his camera. Yeah.
Your voice is breaking
yeah,
up.
and my internet is not working well. I'm glad that I'm able to make it. I am live, on actually I'm live on YouTube also. So I think that is so yeah, he's my teacher, and over.
So, hello, Inoj, if am I saying your name correct?
Enoch.
Enoch, okay. Right. So, we are here to discuss the workplace journeys and how we are getting support and how we are coping up with our mental health being a neurodivergent. So may I know some of your background, what you do, and how you came to know about your neurodivergent traits?
All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Enoch Kaz, and yes, like the Book of Enoch, I my my journey with understanding my autism and ADHD has been a very long and interesting one. But to summarize it, growing up in the United States, I I did not necessarily have access to diagnoses capabilities when I was younger. I'm 37. Um, and I was put into special schools. I was given behavioral management therapies, but I didn't realize I was autistic until I was 24 years old after my girlfriend passed away and I started losing all of my masking techniques. And then I realized, I looked back at my life, I saw the way I had behaved when I was a child and as an adolescent. And I looked at the students that I had taught as an educator who were autistic and had Asperger's. And I put together the dots, got my diagnosis, and that was part of a very long and hard spiral. Lost my job, lost my life for the most part. And it's been 12 years of rebuilding and learning about my own neurodiversity, going through masking and unmasking struggles. And I met Dr. Anila about almost 2 years ago now. I was hosting a weekly Twitter group for neurodivergent people to just come together and find community and talk about our experiences. And I was very lucky to be able to have Anila as one of the first participants in a beta test for an unmasking program that I started putting together. I realized as I was trying to build a company to employ neurodivergent people so that we could actually have a space designed by us and for us that met our needs, the biggest hurdle that most people would have to overcome would be the unmasking, both internally and externally. Being able to acknowledge who we are deep down inside, what we really need, what really gives us joy, and to follow that, but also to be able to find community where the workplace is able to tie into our special interests and where it can expand beyond that. My life dream since I was 12 has been actually city design, trying to build towns and cities that combine the best ecologically integrated technology with the best possible social structures. And that is one of those long-term goals that I see happening actually much sooner than later, with the way corporations are building campuses where there's integrated living and entertainment and workspaces. Culturally, these things are evolving. And so right now, I'm just working on building out and launching the self-paced version of my unmasking course to be able to get it to as many people as possible and to actually use AI avatar videos to be able to translate the material into over 120 languages. I already have the first rough cuts of the Pashto versions put together. So
Yeah, Pashto
that's
is
who
my
I am.
language.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's my language.
That's why I chose it. You said it was your first language. I was like, all right, I've got Spanish speakers here in LA. I've got Anila. All right, I got 2 other languages. We can roll with those.
Okay. That's
I
quite
was
interesting.
sorry, I'm cutting you because at that time I was not able to make my, and thank God I just changed my network. So I need to tell.
German is also welcome. Sorry for interrupting. Germany is also welcome, okay?
Yeah. Enoch,
Oh,
she's coming to you. Yeah.
Germany's on the list. Like, here's the thing. I am a Afro-Native American Jew. I have it already mapped out. I'm like, okay. So I gotta get Germany, I've got to get Poland, I've got to get Hebrew, I've got to get Arabic, I've got to get Chinese, I got to get Japanese, I got to get all the languages. And once the first English modules get rolling, then I can hire people who really love this stuff, where that's their special interest, to do all that work. And I can pay people who will be overjoyed every day to just take this material and shift it and translate it into different languages and apply it to different cultures and make it more versatile and usable before we move to the next level of building an entire virtual world where there's an RPG system so people can actually play D&D with their neurodiversity.
You know, Enoch, it is for Diana. You also, when I was, my work is actually documented by European Council for Autistic People. I think that's the exact name for that. I hope I'm not wrong about that. And they requested me that, and I told them that because you know that, and Faisal know that already. We are actually running 2 groups, support group. One is for Pakistani community, and one is for international community. For that international community, they asked us to have some resources for people who can help out European people, who can help out non-English speaking people also. Because we know that whenever we're expressing something, the expression is change, And it took me a lot of time even to understand that expression, that if I am talking to somebody who is from brown community, even not from my country, but from the brown community, how I need to address that issue. Then it's from the white community, how I'm going to address that issue. And then it's for the black community. So it is very important for us, all of us, to come together to have those, because we know that we are tech genius. Like from I'm talking about the neurodivergent community. And I hope very soon somebody would come up with that kind of a bot who is going to translate one English and the person can select that English. In Zoom, we have this option, but it is one at a time. For example, I turn on the English because I speak a little bit fast and there was some issue in my thing when I was talking. There was some signal problem. So whenever we are having those discussions, there was the reason that why I asked all of you together. Like I asked Colette, because slowly and gradually she is interested in how trauma is affecting autistic community, how trauma is affecting neurodivergent community. And Enoch know that me and Colette is all the time sitting on, Instagram to talk about how important for you is to understand what is abuse, what is trauma. And we as neurodivergent community is facing them more than any other people, because of many people are not able to advocate for themselves. Many people are not able to, and from many, we are talking about neurodivergent people, they're not able to, I'm sorry, I'm not excluding other people over here, like majority or neurotypical. But as we want to tell people that if you are with neurodivergent personality, if you are with neurodivergent functioning, things get more difficult for you. So stop calling masking stop calling masking as a tool of, we are, just taking a hold back of something and we're acting out, or we are acting in front of you, or we pretending in front of you. That is a tool that is helping us to interact with the community around us, and that also help us to get fit. I'm saying fit in that community, because that is a requirement of that time. So if you start judging the traits that we have, stop asking us to change our traits, because you directly come to those things. You don't want us to do stimming, and stimming is very important. We all know as neurodivergent people that stimming is very important. What are stimming tools that you can use for yourself? Yes, that is, and like I am also, if people would notice here, I don't know why I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. I have this habit, when I'm in front of camera, I start looking over here and there. Like today, we have a lot of people over here, but when I'm doing that with Colette, or when I'm doing with Enoch, then I'm just looking at straight. The moment I have a lot of people in one meeting room, I would want something to do. So as I'm, also co-host, so I'm doing something on my mobile phone, and then not just communicating about other thing. I'm just, taking some screenshot. I'm asking people to come if they can join us. So that is also official work is going on my mobile phone. That is about that meeting, but I'm still over here. So I would thank everybody. I don't know how much I would say that, because many people came on my one message. Like I just asked Enoch if he can come, and he just come here. And I asked Colette yesterday, day before yesterday, that we are having that discussion. Can you come? She said that I will come. It means that the work that we are doing, people are getting the idea of how important that work is. And we have to come and we have to speak up for ourselves. And we have to tell that what that means to have a mental health. Sometimes people would say that autism people don't have mental health problem. What does that mean? Like, how can you exclude those things from those things, And also, if you talk about workplace, and I would ask everybody to talk about the problems that they have at workplace, because that is the real deal. And that is the thing that many people are not going to their offices and their manager. And, when the inflammation came in the whole world, I know so many people. Like if, for example, I know 20 autistic people, 15 of them have lost their job because they were the easy target. And what was the problem? What was the point when the manager asked them to go? You're not doing your work on time. You're too busy with other people doing gossiping. You're not sitting on your station. Not doing work on time because the person is not able to concentrate. A lot of issues going around. Second thing, you're not doing your work on time because that person was empath. Being empath, he was helping out other people. Other reason, it was asked from the woman that I think even she was doing that job in 19 years for that institution. And I'm talking about US actually. And she was asked to leave the job because she was not able to send the lab reports on the time. And actually, she was also helping out other people, which was not mentioned in her workplace, the contract that you have. Manager asked her to do that actually. Actually, manager were taking some time for herself and asking her to do her work actually. So she didn't have this idea. She did not get this idea that I have to do my work because I'm paid for that. But why she was doing that? Why she was helping out other people? Because she want to have a social support around her. Okay, that is the thing that you're helping them, but they want social support. They want to be included. They want to be included in any hangout. They want to be included if somebody is going outside for food, for shopping, those kind of a thing. Because people, those who have neurodivergent personalities, it might be difficult sometimes because that situation, that mutism thing come around, or maybe when you're not asked, you're not going to do that thing, So they just want to be around it, so they are included in that plan, And I just mentioned some, but I would ask, and I would like to know you people and your experiences in workplace that led you to even a very high paying job, Like, and you have to leave that place because it was coming to your emotional, it was compromising your emotional health. So who want to start? Dan, you want to say something because your hand was up? I think you were, maybe relating to the thing that I was saying.
No, I said goodbye to Colette.
Oh, okay.
That's fine for me.
That's fine.
I would love to say one word about masking. Masking isn't bad all the time, because I would say masking saved my job for the last, I don't know, 20 years. It wasn't the healthiest thing, but I didn't know anything about masking. I have no idea what is this when I do mask, and I try to find out it every day again. What is the surrounding I need to leave my mask down, and what situations I'm facing when I need my mask, and is it helpful to get it off, or maybe is it helpful to put it on and go through the mask, through the situation with the mask, instead of being bullied while you're reacting so different and unexpected. Yeah. Thanks.
So, your turn.
So, thank you, Diana, for saying that, because the truth is, masking, for people who are undiagnosed, masking is the norm, right? That's how we have trained ourselves to operate. And so there's multiple things that one has to deal with once you get that diagnosis. In the process of unmasking, it's not just a matter of being blatant about one's autistic or ADHD characteristics. The most important steps are understanding oneself. It begins with being able to understand what are the things that we have done. What are the molds we have put ourselves into, the behaviors we have adopted, the archetypes that we have attempted to assimilate in order to fit into our family, our peers, our colleagues in work, our school situations. And then once understanding that, to be able to start expressing who we actually are. And the tools that we use to mask are actually very similar to the tools that we use to re-engage with the world once we know who we are. There's still social scripting. Like, I social script, but now I use it to say, I'm uncomfortable going into that type of situation. I know that there's a lot of opportunities for me to network at this party, but with that much noise and that many people, it's just not my kind of vibe. If there's a more intimate conversations type of event, I would love to be a part of that. And being able to say those things instead of like, yeah, I'll be there. Absolutely. And then forcing myself like 2 days beforehand to rest and make sure I have juice and then recharge for 2 days afterwards. I'm just very clear what I can, what I can't do. And one of the things that I think becomes an issue with that struggle in being honest with the workplace, like you were talking about, when people owe their career to their mask. Like before I found out, my career was a combination of special interests in masking, but I had learned to mask while in my career. I had been literally doing the work I was doing since I was 12. So my entire worldview, it wasn't even a career, it was just like how I built my mask and navigated in community and education and everything. Once that all crumbled down, then I was trying to relearn how to function in society while understanding my autism, while understanding the traumas and all that stacking. And I say that because there's a hurdle, there's a leap of faith that people have to take when it comes to unmasking and the workplace. Because for a lot of people, it's not going to be possible to unmask in the same place that you've been working for a long time. It's going to be really difficult if that's not an already neuro-inclusive place, because people are used to a certain you. And if you change, then there's a feeling of hurt, there's a feeling of betrayal, there's a feeling of loss. A lot of neurodivergent people go down the path of entrepreneurship, trying to take their skills and put them into this self-directed career path. But then there's the hurdle of, how do we find guides for autistic entrepreneurship? Where do we get the grants? Where do we get the funding? Where do we get the community? Where do we get et cetera? And this isn't to put a damper on anything. It's rather to give hope. We're all here right now, different parts of the world, having experienced very similar stories in one way or another when it comes to the struggle of balancing our neurodivergence and work, being of service to the community while being authentic to ourselves. And that's the balance that needs to become a standard to be able to be of the highest service while maintaining the deepest authenticity.
I've achieved that because I have the honor to make workshops with young people who are coming new in the company and tell them about autism. And the last time I showed them a virtual reality clip from YouTube, which was showing the struggles we have and all these impressions we have to fight with during a normal situation. And there were 80 people in the room, and they're really have been really impressed about this. And they have asked me, do you feel the same in such a situation? We're coming about overloading and meltdown. And I said, yes. And this is the big gap. I can talk in front of many people free without a script about my topic, and I burn for it. But I've also these huge problems which are not going outside and nobody is knowing about, because I've this masking. Thanks to it and thanks not. We assumed this. Yeah. So maybe I'm an inspiration to others not giving up and going your path and fight for your rights also and fight for your voice. Yeah.
Right. We have two other participants, Mariam and Hafsa. So first I want to know about Mariam. If you like to tell about your journey, what profession you are into. Your mic is mute.
Sorry, is it working now? Can you all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good to see everybody. Firstly, I'm so sorry I'm joining so late. So I'm going to give
No
a brief
problem.
introduction of myself. I'm a behavior and a trauma therapist. After having worked for different school systems in Lahore, Pakistan, I did my postgrad certification in autism studies from the UK Tizard Center. So I'm very first time student of Julie Beadle Brown, who has made the spell framework for autism. Presently, I am a behavior counselor at Lahore Grammar School. And I do private practice as well. So good to know everybody. And that's my journey of autism, that I've been connected to autism for over 12 years now. And basically, I saw a lot of struggles while I was teaching the first 15 years of my teaching career. So it made me, see the struggles of the children. Many a times we come across children who are autistic, but then, on the uh, not a very not high functioning. I mean, the ones who are able to mask well. Actually, what you people were talking about earlier, I was going through the chats, so that gave me the idea of going to, for autism studies and intellectual disability. And we are doing quite a lot of things. We have a major event coming in Lahore on Saturday. It is just a day away, and a lot more needs to be done. That's all I can say. As a behavioral counselor at a mainstream school, I keep trying hard to, convince the administrations everywhere to allow children to join mainstream school. I still think we are far behind in that. That's my idea, that every child needs to be at a mainstream school. So that's all what I can say at the moment.
Right, great initiative. I mean, we always vouch for like early interventions, and like if the kids are not getting appropriate support and they being isolated from the rest of the
Yeah.
society, it's not going
Mm.
to work in
Yeah.
their life longer in the longer run.
Functionality.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, Fia, sorry, Faiza, I'm calling you Fia.
yes. Okay.
Rex, yes, I'm not taking the name that wrong. Jax, yeah. Jax, I would also like you and Fuzzy to respond that. He said that, or maybe so, the comment is, sorry if I'm, sorry about the gender specification over here. So the comment is, I am against mainstream school or so-called neurotypical normal school for neurodivergent kids over here. We have very limited resources in our country, and the system that we have in our country still, and to date, like a lot of years have been passed now and people are aware of the term autism and ADHD. Still people think that autism, or you could say that, or it look like that for them, maybe autism and intellectual differences or disability are same, like they would see it as like that. So every parent would want to go their child to a school, and if you say that, like it's a dream of every parent to, and we don't have that much resources over here, that we have state of the art facilities over here, if it is like that over here. But even then, if you look toward the learning, if it they are 18 plus, they are out of those institutions, what parents going to do after that? So why, me and maybe Faiza might also think that, or I think she has the same idea about that too, that if we give them services, this is what I also do, services, one-to-one services, and take them to mean school for some period of time, so
Yeah.
that, yeah, this is, and this I have been practiced, and this is giving me amazing result. And I'm working
Yeah,
with
that's
somebody now, yeah,
right.
somebody
Yeah.
right now, and the child have this belt ceremony day before yesterday, like it was yesterday, and her mother was, poof, how this is possible? This is a child, people would, I don't know, say so many things, that he cannot be in our school and blah blah blah, so many things, because over here, because when you talk about the diagnosis system over here, and we talk about even the early intervention, many children, even if it's boy or girl, they are not screened on time actually, because of the denial
Yeah.
system. And the other point is because of the criteria that we have. They have 3-4 symptoms that are telling you that if the child don't have speech, oh, he's autistic. If he's a little bit autistic, a little bit with little bit speech, let's say, and hyper, again he's autistic. And let's say if a child
Yeah.
is hyper but he has speech, or the child is going to the school and his needs are not met.
Yeah.
I'm talking about ADHD kids
Yeah.
over here. So over here, systems are
Right.
different. So we are fighting with so many things over here. So I hope you get
Yeah.
your answer right
Anila,
now.
sorry, where are you based? I missed your introduction. Where are you based?
I'm in Islamabad.
You're in Islamabad. Okay. Now, I would just like to add to what you're saying. That's precisely what I mean by bringing them to the mainstream school system. Like you said, firstly, giving them the, early intervention and then making them able to cope with the class and, the kids being there for a certain amount of time. Now, I would proudly like to share that a very beautiful kid, a 15-year-old boy, no, not 15, like the other one, a 16-year-old boy completed his O levels with 5 A's and 4 B's. Now, a lot of hard work put into that, but it's one of our mainstream schools here in Lahore. Once again, you're so right, screened at the very right time and lots of early intervention provided. And then we got him into the school. And I have other kids also, they're the ones who are in the mainstream school. So, yes, very. It's screening at the right time and then helping them adjust in the school for some time, yes, and ultimately we have full timers as well, but overall I'm in favor of the children at the mainstream school. That's what we studied in England, that they've got to be part of the community so that they reach their full functionality.
So, Mariam, what bring you to this subject? Why you came into this field?
I came into the field, Pfizer. Like I said, I was an English language teacher for so many years. I had masters in child psychology, and always my favorite subject was developmental side of the children. Okay, it used to be especially able system at some very specific subject which was about the disability side. Now this was back in 1995, so I did my master's in 1996. Then good 15 years I taught. And in those years, I also had a chance to work with a child having Down syndrome. And luckily, mashallah, she's the first Down syndrome kid in Pakistan who has a IB diploma. So I was her shadow teacher. So that's how my interest developed over years and years. And ultimately, I went to Tizard Center, University of Kent, to do my postgrad certification in autism studies and intellectual disabilities. So the teaching career, then my love for special needs, and then ultimately doing autism. And then I've done much more. I've been trained by, Dr. Khadija, she's from Karachi. I am EMDR trained because somewhere autism also, the trauma has to be addressed. So, EMDR can be performed on autistic individuals as well. So now I am EMDR trained as well. But I am all for people who are different. So that's my interest in autism.
Thank you so much, Mariam. I would like to again response Rex. We don't have that much resources over here. That's the
Yes,
reason that we
you're
are
so right,
fighting
dear.
so
Yeah,
hard. Yeah,
you
this is the
very right.
point. It's not that what we believe, what we want to have, what should be in our country.
I
We
agree, dear.
are,
You're very
we
right.
are fighting on so
Mhm.
many battles over here. It's not
So
just
many
one battle.
battles.
So many
Yeah.
battles.
I
Now,
fully agree, Anila. Yeah. Why, I have 2 to 3 interviews or in Google as well. Why do I always talk about making them part of the mainstream? You're very right. Limited resources, but dear, we need to start somewhere. Now, endlessly we talk about firstly this awareness. There is no awareness. To date, most of my clients, an ideal anxiety, depression, all sorts of therapy, because I've studied all. I'm qualified in trauma therapy as well. So there is, lack of awareness. So you're so very right that we need to fight on so many, fronts. That's so right. And limited resources, I understand,
and
but we
also,
need to
Rex,
do.
we don't mean that you are wrong. We are just telling what problems we have over here. It's
Huh,
not
yeah,
about, every view is important for us,
yes,
for me, for
absolutely,
Faizan. And Enoch, please, Enoch,
absolutely.
your hand is
Mm,
raised for some time. And
yeah.
after Enoch, I would like to say something about that. Like, Fazli, I would like to have your opinion on that too. Because, of course, we're in Pakistan, we have issues. And you have been working with our community for so long. So after Enoch,
Mm.
please just say something. Yes,
Thank you.
Enoch.
Well, I was just going to say it's really important for people here in the United States to not project our lived experience when it comes to things like school and family and work in an over detailed sense into the experiences of people in other places. I've been able to understand certain things about the autistic experience in masking because I've talked to people from around the world and asked them and seen what the different things that are tied together. And with education, one of the things that is really difficult in places like Pakistan is the amount of government funding that goes into localized education in the first place, which means if in a rural town, there's a teacher that comes around once every 2-3 days, and the kids are left alone to handle their lessons outside of that. The first goal of the community is getting a general school, a place where anyone can come together, a place where all of the students will be able to be respected and taught within that space how to appreciate one another and value one another's skills. And it's actually easier to build a neuro-inclusive and neuro-affirming educational system when there's that potential from the beginning. Because when you're still in those phases of being able to bring large mainstream education to the masses, whether in cities or in towns, then it's possible to create those integrated systems so that kids feel valued. I always wanted to be in school, but I didn't want to be in school the way I was. That's the difference. Like I was fighting to be able to have representation. Whereas here we have Mariam and Anila and Faiza that are building the representation into the system as it is continuing to be developed. And I think that is just a really powerful and profound and beautiful thing. So I want to applaud the three of you in the work that you're doing.
Okay, so I would like to speak to Hafsa, if I'm saying your name correct. Hafsa, we like to know about you.
Hi everyone. So I'm Hafsa. Sorry for joining late, but I'm really enjoying all of the conversation here. So I actually work in the public mental health field in Pakistan, and I've done my bachelor's in psychology. I've been working in the public mental health field for around 6 years now. I realized back in 2019 that I was autistic. It took me around 3 years to get an official diagnosis. But I mask very heavily, and it's only in the past, few years that I've been trying to slowly unmask a little bit or stim a bit at work. So, even while I'm talking to people or in meetings, I started doing this in supermarkets before, where I didn't know anyone, where I would just rock from side to side, and it really helped with the overwhelm that I felt. And I didn't after going to supermarkets, I didn't feel as drained as I would. And so I started doing this at work as well. And so in small ways, I've been trying to unmask, but I still, even though I work in the mental health field, for some reason, I still don't feel comfortable, sharing my diagnosis with most people. I have shared it with a couple of people, and they've been very supportive and understanding of my accommodations. But I've also, even from people in the mental health field who themselves have lived experience of other conditions, I've heard them say that ADHD is not real and it's all diet and food and all of this. So then I think, like, if mental health professionals who are working in this field are saying this, or even like public health professionals, I don't know how safe it is to actually disclose in this kind of a setting. But I've been working with people with severe mental illnesses over the past 4 years, and that's been very um, affirming and very, very insightful as well. I actually related a lot more to them than I have to people who like that I work with usually. But yeah, I now I'm very, very interested in the integration of lived experience within mental health programming, and I hope to do my further studies on that. Thank you.
So are you with us? I think I have you came from the group, that psychologist group.
No, I saw this event on LinkedIn, so that's where I joined it
I
from.
thought because I was not sure that you're attached with me or Faiza. So we will discuss our stuff later on,
By
because
common
I
connection, I
see
think we have
something.
met sometime at Mental Health Coalition,
Yes.
if I'm not wrong, Hafsa.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know some Hafsa, but
So,
she's not that Hafsa actually. She used to come to my meetings, the
yeah.
meeting that I used to do. So we
So,
have somebody over
so great
here.
to do another
New member.
fellow.
Yeah, and sorry, Faiza, I'm cutting you. I would like to have Fazli opinion on that, because we were discussing the problem that we have in Pakistan, and he have experience with and working experience also. Like, he just not advocate for us in our country, but have been advocating for us around the world, and that is a big thing. And I think he's one of the pioneer too. So I think we have to give him that credit for that too. I hope one day somebody told me about this Nobel Prize kind of a thing. I hope we find something about, whatever you could say, that some collation, and start doing that award kind of system also, because for those people who are advocating even on small level too. So firstly, I would like to ask you, please tell those people how important that is to understand when we are working with a child or adult, let's say, and they are going to workplace, because before going to workplace, you are in the school. So school is a place where you are going to build relationship with, and if it's something is wrong over there and you're not able to have those connection, you can have problems in the workplace also, because this is our topic too. So I want you to tell us, or maybe mention the problems that you have seen, and if you have seen any changes over time, please also mention that too. I hope I make myself
Right. So
question clear.
I think there are two different I think questions really. The
Yeah.
first one was an earlier question about shadow teachers and how much inclusion there should be, and in context of should a child have mentors? Because in the US, when I was doing my Fulbright, I met a lot of people who used to work for an organization called, I think, Older Brother, Older Sister. This is like a mentoring organization. So we don't have that model in Pakistan or South Asia yet. We don't have mentors that are neurodiverse, right? So, for example, I mean, eventually down the road, that's something that could work. But as far as speaking directly to your question, you asked about, can you be a bit more specific? Because, I mean, there are many ways that I can interpret this question. Uh, can you be a bit more specific about the question? I think it's a bit open-ended right now.
So my question is, because since we have a global community over here,
Yes, yes.
I would like you to advocate for, because when we're talking about children, eventually they're going to get adult. So when they have
Right,
problem
right.
in school
Yeah,
setting,
yeah.
and they have problem in
Okay, okay, right.
corporate
Got
setting
it, got it.
too. So
I
for
get
tell
it.
about
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and also
yeah,
you have been working for some time. What changes you have seen?
yeah, yeah. Right.
Also for
So
the working that we have. Thank you.
right, right. I understand. Okay. So what happened is, back in 2013, I spoke at the UN at Autism Awareness Day in New York, 2nd April. So what happened is, my focus and talk really, representing South Asia, was vocational skills and how the transition happens from a child to an adult. Because obviously the child in the spectrum will grow up to become an adult in the spectrum. And in a lot of developing countries and global South, there's not a lot going on after the child turns 18, right? You have to immediately put them into vocational and then transition to careers. And what we found in other countries, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, pretty much the same. That this transition cannot happen that later in life. You have to start much, much earlier when the child is still in school. Because what happens is that the entire model of the school system, you have peers, you've got kids you work with, you've got your teacher that's like a boss in a way. You have instructions, and you have an entire system of how you integrate into that system and how you advocate. Because without advocacy, how will people know what your specific needs are? So self advocacy actually has to be applied to as many people as possible, even to any extent, because you have to communicate your specific needs, and try to make people aware of why you need those things. And people are inclusive and supportive once they know something, right, about you. So the entire model that we have when the child goes to school, a true inclusion can happen with that child eventually when they learn to negotiate those relationships. Because the parent child relationship, I mean, the child grows up, the parent becomes older, but it's that relationship the child has maybe with the siblings. It's that relationship the child has maybe with the classmates, or maybe with other teachers and other people in society. I believe that that's the kind of interaction that a lot of people focus on. So it's not about the quality of that interaction; it's just the availability of that interaction. If in a lot of countries in the global south, children are hidden from society, as in they're not sent to school, they're kept at home, they're not exposed to those social situations where they can at least see or have a visual understanding of how things are happening outside the house. Because for me and for a lot of educators generally, the problem with ASD and neurodiversity is not one of learning, it's a problem of recontextualization. That means that once you're learning in a safe space, that itself is not enough. You have to then use that information in other places. You have to learn what works for you, and try to make that apply in another situation. Because you're never in a one job for it's very rare for somebody to be in one job for, I don't know, 25 years. That's it's quite extraordinary. That's It's very rare. It's not that common. In most cases, you'll be moving from one place to another place, perhaps even moving houses, or moving careers, moving jobs, meeting new people. So that recontextualization is a bigger narrative. I think it translates to adapting to life, right? Whatever life throws at you, that randomness, and just having that ability to kind of whatever things that you've learned from your parents, from your teachers, from people around you. If you kind of use that, and for more or later experiences, or down the road when you become older, or when you become a bit more independent, I think that essentially is something that perhaps more work needs to be done on. And from the ESD perspective, we have research now that the amygdala is slightly larger, which obviously causes sensory overload. Because macrocephaly, all those medical words, that basically means that sensory overload is the reason why people avoid eye contact. It's the reason why people don't see those visual experiences, perhaps like a child crying or noisy sounds. They would kind of avoid those situations, which is fine. But then to what extent, right? How much can you hide? How much can you avoid? Eventually you will have to kind of integrate that child, and take them into society. Because there's a limit to how much you can kind of that you have those special rooms, right, with you, sensory rooms, where you calm down. You can't stay there the whole day, right? Eventually you will have to desensitize, right? And that's something I believe that educators work on, essentially for non-verbal children. It happens a lot, this desensitization, this sensory process that the occupational therapist is doing, reducing sensory overload. I believe it should happen with adults as well. Adults on the spectrum, neurodiverse people, the reducing sensory overload. Because sometimes you can't even understand that you are having sensory overload. Just recognizing it is a problem. And it takes usually a medical professional or somebody trained in this to actually help you in that process. And I believe that is again one of the bigger challenges, where I believe we should be in some way or the other mentoring others. Those who have done something, they are definitely, even if they're not medical doctors, right? I mean, you have the capacity to kind of advise people, and that advice,
And
I
actually,
guess, is
we have to
something
like be
society
very much.
benefits from.
Sorry,
Yes,
I'm
yes.
cutting you, but
No,
sensory
that's okay.
overload is a medical emergency. We all have to declare it is as a medical emergency, not just overload, but shut down and meltdown too. Like eventually it will turn into meltdown. So sensory meltdown is a emergency, just like a medical emergency, and people are not even realizing that. So thank you so much for realizing this fact and also advocating for that fact too. It is and we have to even talk about that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, ma'am. For everyone watching, hi, I'm Kane McWayne. I'm an American autistic college student, writer, and activist, pretty much on a mission to raise as much awareness about this cause as possible, especially on a day like World Mental Health Day, which I'm a huge advocate for as well. I was diagnosed at 2, and during my life, starting with the very doctor that diagnosed me, believe it or not, my capabilities were questioned due to those social stigmas, what Quasi was talking about earlier, that those inconsiderations and misunderstandings surrounding autism. But thanks to a supportive set of parents and an overall strong work ethic, I was able to prove those people wrong and to use my gifts to start a whole movement to bring attention to this cause. Because, like you guys are saying, it's commonly neglected in Pakistan and some of these other countries. Here in the States, we're becoming more inclusive, I would say. We have resources, we have good people in the world. There's always a couple of bad people too. That's just life. But I think we still have a long way to go to become completely inclusive for not just those who are neurodivergent, but all people in general, no matter what they're going through. To answer your question about what problems I've seen in school, I'm 20 years old right now. I've done middle school, elementary, high school, all mainstream, and was able to graduate early from high school in 2022. I'm in college now as a junior with 4 consecutive dean's lists going on the 5th. And what I've noticed in schools is definitely bullying for who you are. To be fair, the kids are young. They probably do what their parents tell them to do. And I think it depends on the environment. It's my firm belief that everything starts at the home. If the parents are into people like Andrew Tate or Diddy for the purpose of relevancy, more likely than not, the child is going to act the way some of these people do too. And I think another problem we have is IEPs being used as a pawn in some countries and states. When I was in middle school in 8th grade, my IEP services were cut completely without parental knowledge or consent, which is illegal, ironically. I looked it up and asked a few teachers I met over the years. The reason they gave was because I was doing well academically. They thought I didn't need those accommodations. Thank you, Jax. I agree. To better get those accommodations. What the school failed to realize, though, was that autism isn't necessarily struggling academically. In fact, with me right now, I have really good grades apart from a C, but I'm working on getting that up to a B at least. I have 3 assignments in the queue, but I digress. Autism isn't necessarily academic struggles, it's social struggles. And I was a lone wolf, of course, as a lot of us are in high school. So my parents reached out to every single autism organization in Tennessee, which is where the school was at, and the state senator to get those implemented again. Lucky for me, in high school, those were implemented again, but I still experienced bullying and some misunderstandings. Of course, then COVID happened, and everything was online, as we know, and I was able to graduate early, not have to worry about the distractions of bullying and the like. But another problem I've noticed is ignorance overall, like what Quasi was talking about with sensory rooms. Closing someone out and not giving someone with autism that social interaction isn't the way to go. Well, we aren't in 1955 anymore where that kind of thing is okay. A way we can improve on that is having harsher bullying policies put in place for those who make fun of someone who's neurodivergent or on the spectrum, because they may not know better, and they might have struggles with social situations, and they deserve every amount of empathy as, say, someone who's a football player or someone who's neurotypical on the baseball team or something like that. And I think another thing we could do is cut funding for schools that use IEPs as a pawn and take away those without parental knowledge or consent, because those IEPs are essential for student success.
Well, that's quite remarkable. And whatever you said, I mean, I can totally relate to this thing. In a way, I personally feel when I do self-paced learning, and if I don't have any pressures, I do it on my own way. I don't have any problems. And if I do have a lot of social pressure around me, people to chase, and, the competition, and, to go to go to the classrooms and everything, it really drains me out. So I've got some opportunities to do self-paced learning, and I realized that that was the best part I have ever done in my life, rather than going to school every day and attending the class. So
Thank you.
I think I want to say something. Yeah, I have seen him, when he's about to speak, he have a special kind of, that grim and energy on his face. Yeah, please.
All right, here, I'll mute myself.
Thank you, Anila. One thing that I know I experienced a lot when I was younger is the drive to force justice. I was so frustrated so often at things that I saw unjust. And in terms of like the depth of that, my family, my dad started transitioning and going on hormone replacement therapy when I was conceived. I was raised at the first openly queer synagogue in the world, from an interracial, interfaith, queer family where my dad was, for all apparent purposes to the world, a woman, and exceptionally physically and mentally ill, on top of already having all of those things. Now, I spent my entire early life, first 2/3 of my life, being the proto-social justice warrior of today. I think that it's a really important thing when we talk about how to deal with bullies, how to deal with the people that we see as being in some way harassing, to understand and have empathy about where they came from. Case in point, Eminem. I grew up listening to Eminem. His lyrics were some of the only things that allowed me to actually have an outlet for the rage that I felt, which I couldn't express in the world. And it wasn't all of the shit talking lyrics. It was him talking about how some kid busted into the bathroom when he was in middle school and beat him up so badly, smashed his face against the urinal, broke his nose. Like, he was actually beaten into a coma and was bleeding out the ears when the teachers found him. Or his song Legacy, where he specifically broke down being autistic and explained how he created the persona of Slim Shady to be the mask that would protect him from the world. But that mask was so damn good, so vicious, so absolutely ruthless in how he protected himself and was able to lash out at anyone who came at him, that he built a literal financial empire on. And there's a lot of people that don't like that mask, but it was just exactly that, his mask. I got bullied a lot when I was in middle school and high school, all those years. But when I look back now, I'm like, well, shit, that person was from an abusive home. That person had alcoholic parents. That person was autistic. That person had fetal alcohol syndrome. Sometimes people are schmucks just because they've been taught to be that by the people around them. But sometimes that is part of them masking their pain. And proof of that, literal proof of that, are the statistics that come out of the UK, their criminal justice department. They did a survey in 2020, and it showed that between 16 to 19% of the imprisoned population is autistic, compared to 2 to 3% in the overall population. That over 50% have dyslexia or are bipolar, that over 25% have ADHD. These are people who didn't have the right support, who didn't have the nurturing, who didn't have the care, who didn't have the love. They didn't have any way to find their path. They didn't have any avenues for success. And the masks they developed because of that, because the environment they were in demanded that they behave in a certain way, they fell through those cracks. There's also people who just have a breakdown, who've been skating by, handling their business, and they lose it and spontaneously unmask and get put in a mental institution or incarcerated. We have to be very careful with how we demand justice. Because if we're demanding justice from the position of our pain, then what we are demanding is retribution. We have to heal our pain and be able to stand in a place where we are not lashing out, trying to cause pain in order for there to be a retributive justice. The most powerful example of this ever were the peace and reconciliation trials in South Africa. I'm old enough to remember when apartheid fell. I'm old enough to remember the people of South Africa confronting the people who were the worst criminals of the apartheid regime and having to say their story to each one of these people, for them to look in the eye and know how much pain they caused. And almost every one of those perpetrators was broken inside by the end because they realized how much damage they had done, and they were forced to reflect on why they did it. Compassion is the most brutal judgment of all. And that's coming from someone who has lost everything and has every right to feel rage. But compassion is the deepest and most powerful vengeance in the world because it eliminates the source of the pain.
So I think we are going to end this discussion, and we have been over here more than 1 hour and 46 minutes now. And I can say how much Faiza was, because I've been doing those things for some time. Sometime me and Enoch, sometime me and Kulad, but we have been doing this for some time. We know that we will pull this out. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming to us today here on this occasion of mental health. But we talked about from the neurodivergent perspective, and we did not just talk about the perspective of people who are in workplace, but also when they are growing up. So before going, I would like to request everybody to give 1 or 2 minute message on this mental health day. So let's start. Who want to start? Faiza, first you do that. Let's start with Faiza.
Why not you? Begin with you and then I.
Okay, so I think I just call you out very quickly. I think you're not ready for that. That's okay. That's okay. That's being we being neurodivergent. Actually, it's not just you. It's all of us over here, or let's say most of us over here. So I would like to say that whenever we are talking about neurodiversity or neurodivergent people, you need to understand that every individual is different. So everybody will take their time when they are coming out of that zone. Either it's meltdown, either it's shut down, fight, flight, or freeze or fawn response. If they are saying that they are not okay at the moment, understand that. If they're asking for the space, please understand that space. And when we talk about workplace, what I have learned from my own experience is when I am like putting my all effort in that thing and I am away from distraction, and I am not, when somebody is not putting me and putting on my head unnecessary pressure, then my performance is at the top. And the moment if something is going wrong, instead of people are judging out me on petty things, which is not even my fault, let's say, my performance is zero and just don't want to work over there. And this is my rule for some time. And I'm not feeling okay, I don't work. Because let's say I'm a mental health professional, I'm a therapist, I'm a psychologist, I am not able to give my energy. And also, uh, what I learned from my experience is whatever you're doing, whatever you're saying, please understand that you believe that or not. You know, like for example, if I'm saying that I'm okay, am I believing that I'm okay at the moment? No. The voice is coming from my inside that I'm not feeling okay. So learn to understand what is coming from your inside. And when we talk about mental health, do not stop speaking up for yourself. It took us our whole life, no matter whatever your age is, to speak up for ourselves. You know, even if it's mental health, and mental health is as real as anything in this world. And also, if you don't have, you think that you don't have a neurodivergent child in your home. It is what you think actually. You know, there's a time when the child would come out, or as an adult, as a neurodivergent adult. And I have seen people at the age of 89 going for diagnosis. It means that they knew that something is wrong with them their whole life. So you're not privileged. Don't think that you're privileged if you're not being kind to people around you who have neurodivergent or who have some kind of disability around you. So I think my message is quite big, you know, and it might give you some idea to put in your own head, actually, not take my idea, but your own ideas. So yes, Faiza.
Well, with this takeaway message, I think with my own mental health journey and with non-judgmental approach, it took me a very long time, and I started with people's communication style, how to communicate, how they show up, how they behave, because everyone is their own shell, whether it's neurotypical person or a neurodivergent person. So to take that thing, sometimes being an empath, it takes me to the wrong way. But it's just the kind of thing, if I being anxious throughout the time about a person's judgmental behavior and being judgmental myself, so I couldn't survive in a professional environment, especially. And if I have to progress further ahead, I need to know my own communication style, and further the communication style with my colleagues and my peers, the people I'm working with. So just because it's the communication, things become progressive, things become worse. So I think this is my thing which I have developed within this journey of mine.
Okay, thank you so much, Faiza. Now I would request Fazli, please say something, and then I would ask Diana to say something, to give her message.
Right. So I think one of the important things here is that you know, sometimes we get lost in our own experiences, and we think that we are unique and it's only happening with us. Nothing could be farther from the truth, because the more I meet other neurodiverse people from across the world, there are so many things that are common. You know, yes, we are unique. Our own desires and needs and accommodations are, you know, unique. That's right. But at the same time, we have so much in common. And I think that is the way forward, because when we learn, we share experiences. It's only through self advocates that I even found out what self advocacy was. If Temple hadn't written her books, or if other people hadn't given talks on YouTube, I wouldn't have known anything about this. It was American self advocates that, I read about, and I saw their interviews, and, I decided that, I should be a self advocate too. Of course, for people in my region, my part of the world, and encourage others, of course, to come forward, because self advocacy is not just about you. It's about the impact that you have on the future, on society, and to make sure that others don't perhaps go through the pain that perhaps you went through, so that that journey becomes faster to solutions that came eventually with you over time. Because some people say that maybe life and the traumas that you go through, it's part of the journey. That may be true, but if you can kind of help somebody avoid those traumas, I think that that's something worth doing. And that's why I do self advocacy.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And that is a very powerful message. Now, Diana, you, and after Diana, that will be Nok. That will be your turn.
Be brave, share your story, connect, because you're not alone. All these things helped me a lot, and I'm really grateful for hearing this international stories and get connected all over the world with other autistic people. This is really cool, and I didn't imagine that. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for giving us your experience and giving us time, actually. So, please, your message.
Thank you, Anila, for hosting the space. Thank you for creating this wonderful container. It's not an easy thing at all to take off the layers of masks that we've learned to put on over the course of our lives. But the more of us who are actively pursuing that goal of authentic, unmasked abundance, the easier it will be for others to find those resources and to find the path. If you would like to connect with me, Enoch Kaz on LinkedIn and at Enoch Kaz on Instagram. Be more than happy to discuss and collaborate and confabulate. And maybe within the next 2 weeks, I'm going to start doing a similar space to this on Tuesdays for neurodivergent networking specifically, so that people can share what they're working on and connect with other people, maybe do some skill trades, maybe find some hires and jobs or employees, but whatever is necessary for our community to be self-sufficient in this way and build up supporting.
I think that is great news for me also and for other people also. And I think when we are working, we cannot work with everything actually. We are limited in our resources, we are limited in our capacity. Even then, still we manage somehow to do those things. So if we all know that what other people are doing, and we just have to, support each other, whatever we are doing. We know that our common goal is to have a world where people are understanding what actually neurodiversity or neurodivergent people mean. This is what we want, and this is what we want, to have accessibility to everything, like other people have, like neuromajority have. And thank you so much, Enoch, for your message. Now I will request from my Pakistani people, Hafsa, and then Mariam. Yes, Hafsa.
Sure. Thank you so much for holding this for all of us. I felt very safe in this space. I think my message for the rest of the Pakistani community specifically would be that workplaces, for some reason, everyone sees each other as competition. I wish everyone would instead focus on building community and supporting each other, even if that means, some have different kind of accommodations at work. just being understanding of each other's needs, and being there for each other. I think just focusing on our humanity as a collective would go a long way in building a safer society for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hafsa. Now I would request Mariam and then Jax after that. Please, Mariam, please give your message on this World Mental Health Day. Mariam, oh yeah, she is there. Mariam, oh yeah. I think you're outside. Okay. I think she's not able to say something because she might be outside. Jax, can you please open your mic and give your message? And I would again thank you to come to us today, and please give your message.
Yes, thanks for inviting me and for hosting this. I would say that my message is mostly questions that I've been left with to think about after this meeting. And so the questions I'm left with are, how do we assert our boundaries, allow for free self-expression, and understand linguistic and cultural differences as we are unmasking, yet people continue to, tone police us and accuse us of being, problematic as we unmask, right? And how do we harmonize trauma-informed neuroaffirming practices with addressing internalized isms and healing trauma when the wounds have been conflated with identity and culture? Because then we feel personally attacked and stuff when we're being when people are trying to hold us accountable to address the internalized isms and stuff. So the questions I'm asking are kind of like, how are all of these intersecting elements of social justice, behavioral health, and systemic change weaving together? And I am curious how we can be honoring our true, authentic selves and as neurodivergent people while still trying to work through whatever toxicity from the culture and the world that we have internalized. So thank you.
I think what answer is coming in my mind is to work together, actually. Because that's how we can learn, and that's how I am learning. Faiza is learning, Fazli has learned, and still learning, and I am still learning. This is what I would say. And all of us are trying to do our best. And once again, I would like to say thank you to everybody. Like we were not even expecting that much crowd over here, and many of people over here just came on the moment I messaged them, and they just turned in. It means that. And also, those who didn't know about that, we are having spaces like that where we are talking about, for example, in Pakistan, we have Neurodivergent Pakistan community. We are holding up for Pakistani people over there, like for Neurodivergent. Then we have like a support group that is for international community, and that is, it will be in this Sunday, actually. It will be this Sunday. And I think the time is maybe or earlier, actually. What is the time in Ock? If I'm not wrong about the hours over here. I think I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. But we have those spaces, and you can come over there, and we are still creating more spaces. So it's like at person we are doing, and we are able to do one thing at a time, because we cannot just one person cannot put their head in everything. So what I believe is, whatever we are doing, we just need to be communicating with each other. This is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I'm doing. And having such spaces maybe once a month could help us out to understand that more, that how we can progress in our work. Because one way or other way, the way that we are interacting with the environment is giving people the understanding that, like Diana said, that we are not alone. So this is something you could say that, like, for people who might be thinking that we are from Mars, we are alien, we don't belong to this world. Like, this is not right anymore. We still have people around the world, and we can see each other, we can talk to each other. And yes, Cadence, I'm so sorry, I did not ask you. I'm really sorry. So your message, I'm really sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. Like I said, this was a last minute invitation for me, but I'm very happy that I accepted it. Thank you to Anila and the Pakistan Neurodivergent community for inviting me. And I would say that you guys are special and amazing as you are. And if people can't see that, don't give them the time of day. They're the ones who are going to miss out on an amazing person or coworker or wife or husband. You just need to remember that you deserve to be treated with kindness and to be around people who would never try to change the you that you are.
And thank you everyone
Yeah,
for
this is the most beautiful message, actually. You know,
Can I
it speaks
add
from
my
the heart.
message now? Hi.
Oh, yes, Mariam. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, Anila, I just could not
Don't feel-
talk
don't feel
earlier.
bad.
Now,
That's okay. That's
it was
okay.
such a pleasure, the part that I could join. I mean, I'm so happy to just, be connected to all of you. And, once again, keeping in mind all reservations and limitations in mind, I hope and wish and pray to having a Pakistan where neurodiversity is discussed in the most neurodivergent way. And, once again, which, ending at the point that open to learn. That's why we have come into this world, open to learn at all the time. So good to be connected to all of you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much. And is there something, Faiza, you want to say at the end?
Yeah, I
And
just wanted to thank Anila and Fazli especially for being my helping hands
crime
every
partner.
time.
Crime
Yes,
partner.
crime partners, yes. So for supporting our group, for supporting our community. And I cannot do everything all alone. It's just you guys are helping me and we are doing things in this way. So hopefully we'll see on some other occasion soon. And thanks for having this session today. Thanks for coming on such short notice.
Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.